almost the same spot, talking about the arrival of Prince George. His role was always going to be pretty well defined, wasn't it, as third in line to the throne. What of this new baby girl?
Well, the poor thing hasn't yet been born, or just been born, hasn't she? And we're talking about her future. But I mean, as you say, it is by definition a less well-defined role. I mean, they are known traditionally, aren't they, as the spare. Princess Diana, the late Diana, called her younger son, William's brother Harry, the backup. So we now have the latest backup. And it is has been historically, when you look at Princess Margaret, you look at Prince Andrew, you look at sometimes some of the mishaps that Prince Harry has had, it is quite a challenging position to fulfil, because it is a senior royal, but there is an expectation that they also do other things as well. But that's for a long way off at the moment.
Absolutely, and officials saying at the moment they very much want to be, the phrase is, the focus is on family.
Yes, I mean, you know, they've got 2 children under 2. Anyone listening, watching, who's been in that position knows quite what a handful that is, and I think George is a handful enough in himself. He's now coming here, he's due any minute now. I keep looking at the cars, but these don't look quite the right type of car to be bringing back 2 princes, 2 future kings, but I think we'll know it's
yes,
within the next 5 minutes or so that he will come back in. And again, actually, that will be a significant moment, because it is, you talk about a family, it is quite striking how little here in the UK we've actually seen Prince George.
Yes, we should just emphasise that fact, because we've literally just heard that in the last few seconds as we've been speaking, that we believe not only has Prince William gone to Kensington Palace to see Prince George, he is in fact picking him up and bringing him back here.
Yes, and he's going to have to break it to him that this baby is something that's coming back with them, because I remember with my 2-year-old, she thought our next daughter was something that would then be handed on to someone else. So he's got to get used to that idea, as any of these sort of children of that age have to. But yeah, it will be a significant moment for all the people gathered here, the photographers and the television cameras, because it is, you know, one can count almost on the hands of one hand, the fingers of one hand, how many times we've actually seen him out and about in the UK. I've seen him slightly more in Australia and New Zealand, but that is absolutely deliberate. They are desperately keen, William and Kate, they know what future holds for him, because William's had that future. They want to try and protect him from it as long as possible.
How quickly do you think we will then see the royal couple and their new baby actually leave here for Kensington Palace?
I think pretty quickly, actually. I mean, I was very struck at a briefing that senior officials had, where they, more than once, the phrase was something like, you know, I hope you enjoy your brief time here, as in here where we are now standing. I think that as long as medically it is okay for the Duchess to leave, they will be very, very keen. I mean, you know, you come out that door and you see us here, and you see Dan here, and you see the potential inconvenience that we are causing. This is a major London hospital, a working hospital. I think if it is at all possible, my hunch is that they will be very keen to go home today, so that we can go home today.
And so many people very keen to hear what the new baby's name will be. What are your thoughts on that, Peter?
Yes, well, it's this great area, isn't it, where we don't have a shred of facts, but we can speculate.
But we love to speculate. Yeah. People do enjoy speculating about this sort of thing, don't they?
I mean, I think the key issue for them to address really is this of where they acknowledge, yet again, not the type of car we're expecting, whether they, acknowledge and pay honour to his mother, the late Diana, and whether she features in the names at all. And my hunch is, and I've never won anything, so I'm not a betting person, that the child won't be called Diana, but my hunch is that Diana will be somewhere in that collection of names that they give. I mean, royals used to sort of collect 7 names. They have shortened now, but I mean, I would have thought in the 2, 3 or 4 names that this little girl is given, I would suspect that one of them may well be Diana.
Peter, do stay with us, because we are, as we were just mentioning in the last few moments, now understanding that Prince William will be back here very quickly with his young son, Prince George, to allow Prince George to meet his new sister. So we're keeping a very close eye on what is going to happen there. Let's see if we can find out a little bit more directly from Kensington Palace, because Sarah Campbell is there. Sarah, what news do you have there?
Well, the news is that it was a very quick stop here. You saw the pictures of William driving himself from the hospital, a very quick journey here, and he left again a couple of minutes ago. So we understand he is on his way back, and it was such a short stop that one could only imagine that he's picked up Prince George, and can only guess whether he's had time to explain to him exactly who he is going to meet. But
Sarah, I must interrupt you, I'm sorry, because we are back here at the Lindo Wing, and indeed Prince William has made that quick journey from Kensington Palace to here. And we should see in a second him emerging from the other side of the Range Rover with Prince George. A massive crowd from the royal fans at the end of the street. And let's see, there he is. He's not going to toddle, he's going to be carried. Prince William asking Prince George to wave at the crowd. There we have a little royal wave from the young prince, matching his father in a blue jumper, looking slightly bemused at all the attention perhaps. And there they go into the Lindo wing for Prince George to meet his new sister. The wisdom on this sort of thing, I can tell you from personal experience, is that it is always a good idea when a new baby arrives to bring the older sibling, to meet them at the hospital, for the older sibling to see them in that setting before bringing the new baby home. And things all moving at quite a fast pace here, and still with me is our royal correspondent Peter Hunt. So that was all rather swift. Prince William left here. He obviously popped into Kensington Palace very quickly.
It was a very sweet moment, wasn't it? I mean, you heard the applause, the cheers, the delight of the crowd. You saw that, well, you probably couldn't see for the television camera, but actually as George came out, plan A with his dad was that George would walk, and I think he took one look at us and thought he needed some protection, so he got into his dad's arms and he carried him in, and he just looked thoroughly bemused, didn't he, as any 21-month-old child would, looking at us. And then he gave a very sweet wave when his dad told him to wave, and you know, William gave him a very sweet kiss on the head, and then they went in, as you said, to see his new sister.
And I was struck by that comment you made a few minutes ago, Peter, that actually we don't see Prince George like this in front of these banks of cameras very often.
No, I mean, it is an absolute deliberate policy, and it will be a policy that continues for as long as they possibly can. And they have some leeway. You know, the man we just see walking in there isn't the next king, he's the next king but one. So they have that ability to try and carve out some degree of normality. How you ever have normality when your every movement is on these moments are followed by, you know, anyone watching who's had a baby is not normally subjected to this so soon afterwards. So, but within the confines of their existence, they are desperately keen to try and carve out some normality for their child, and that is why, as I say, you know, they have tried to protect him. They've taken action when they think photographers have overstepped the mark, and this, I mean, my memory isn't quite up as sharp as it should be, but it certainly has been only a handful of occasions that we've seen George out in the public.
And just before we go to Buckingham Palace, Peter, let me just clarify with you, there isn't any suggestion, is there, that all four of them, the Duke and Duchess, Prince George and the new baby, will leave the hospital together? Is that something that will happen later?
It's not impossible, is it? Because the alternative is William and George going back, William coming back, so it is not impossible, given that the new family of four is in there. They may well leave as a family of four, but of course that all hinges on whether or not the Duchess does leave today. But on the basis that the Duchess leaves today, one assumes they're not going to keep going backwards and forwards, that they will all just go together, and, you know, and we'll see them all together. That is not impossible, but I think the key thing for them to decide is with the doctors whether it's okay for her to go home.
We shall see many eagle eyes trained on those doors just opposite off the Lindo wing. Well, of course, the other focus for soaking up the atmosphere around this royal event is Buckingham Palace, and Richard Lister is there. Richard.
It's a little bit colder than it was, and we haven't seen the sun for a bit, but still people are coming just to see the proclamation outside Buckingham Palace. You can see the crowds there. They've been at this level really pretty much all day, after thinning slightly after the proclamation was first put up on that golden easel. A little bit of theatre outside Buckingham Palace when that proclamation was brought out by these two palace officials dressed in black with scarlet lapels. The golden ornate easel was standing ready, and they put the framed proclamation on top of that, and people have been filing past fairly steadily since about 12:30. What happens is they get through, they get to where the easel is, and about 5 at a time people take pictures, and then very quickly the police move them on to allow other people to take their places behind them. And this has been happening all day since about 12:30. There was actually a bit of a delay between the proclamation on Twitter and via email and the official proclamation outside Buckingham Palace. That happened at least an hour later because it was the changing of the guard ceremony, and that, we are told, takes precedence over pretty much everything. They couldn't interrupt the changing of the guard ceremony to bring out the easel. They had to wait for that to finish, and then the easel was brought out, then the proclamation at about 12:30. A big cheer went up at that stage, and people have been coming across Green Park and down the Mall ever since. A lot of the people coming, it has to be said, are foreign tourists who don't necessarily know exactly what's going on or that there's anything to see, but once they get here they join the queue and join up with everybody else. We've also had people waving Union Jacks, devout monarchists who came for the weekend on the off chance they would get lucky, and of course they did.